Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Before we begin, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, even the most radiant stars in the sky will ultimately fade from view. It is not because their brightness has dimmed, but because a love that has won compels them to alter their direction. Today marks the beginning of a profoundly poignant new era in television history. Kelly Ripa, the monarch of daytime, whose laughter has brightened living rooms for decades, has decided to retire. Supporting her husband, Mark Consuelos, is the most meaningful thing she can do in a time when love and dedication are more significant than cameras or ratings. Beyond the meticulously crafted press accounts, however, what truly transpired after what felt like an eternity of hardship, commitment, and revelatory truths was Kelly making this agonizingly human choice. I promise that after reading this, you will have a completely different opinion about Kelly Ripa. You might also change how you view your own relationships in life. Beyond her work as a television host, Kelly Ripa has been active in a variety of sectors for more than 30 years. She is regarded as a friend by millions. Whether it was with Ryan Seacrest, Regis Philbin, or most recently, her husband Mark Consuelos, Kelly always brought something special to every partnership she was involved in. Her dazzling smile, her sharp intellect, and the gleam in her eye provided more than. They gave comfort. Think about all the people who have developed the habit of watching television first thing in the morning to the sound of a familiar voice. As you brewed coffee, her laugh lifted spirits on the dreariest Monday. She was the kind of celebrity who could command the red carpet and the kind of neighbor you talked to at the grocery store. A very uncommon combination. Beneath all the energy and contagious happiness, Kelly had her share of personal struggles, sacrifices, and times when she felt conflicted between her family's needs and the studio's demands. We need to go back to 1995, when Kelly Ripa first saw Mark Consuelos while filming All My Children, in order to fully comprehend this melancholy conclusion. It was reminiscent of a fairy tale. They were two young entertainers who immediately clicked because of their limitless charisma and vitality. Less than a year later, they eloped in Las Vegas. There was always more to their marriage than just romance. It was a genuine partnership. Together, they developed their careers, raised 3 children, and maintained the magic despite the heavy weight of celebrity. Their love constituted part of Kelly's public persona. Frequently, she spoke about Mark with reverence, sometimes with humor, but always with deep affection. However, what most spectators overlooked was how much Kelly relied on Mark in her most trying work situations. At home, Mark was her pillar of support, helping her navigate her hectic schedule. The roles have been reversed even after all this time. This adjustment explains the most unexpected decision she has ever made in her career. Outside of the glamour and splendor of magazine covers, Mark Consuelos has surmounted challenges that were rarely covered by the media. According to his closest friends, he is strong and confident. Yet he can also be too proud to admit when he is vulnerable. In recent years, there have been more whispers regarding health issues, tremendous exhaustion, and incidents that rocked the marriage to its foundations. Despite spending her entire life in front of cameras, Kelly prioritized her husband's well-being over any stage or crowd. She had seen him stay strong for her. It was time for her to reciprocate. This choice was not made hastily. Imagine being at the pinnacle of your career, entertaining millions of viewers each day, and yet deciding to leave because the person you love the most needs your help. That requires courage. It requires love in its purest form. What did Mark's struggles teach us about the real value of family and the fragility of success? You might be surprised by the response. Family has always been first for Kelly and Mark. Their 3 children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, each created their own distinct path while growing up in the spotlight. Kelly would repeatedly declare, "My proudest job is not on TV, it's being a mother." Thus, it wasn't just Mark's choice. When his health declined, the family became the focus. Kelly was aware that the best lesson she could teach her children was not dependent on fame or wealth. The message was to always be there for the people you care about and to be selfless. Kelly's departure from television sent a message that extended far beyond the entertainment sector. Your career may define your public life, but love defines your private existence. What has inspired and divided followers equally is the audacious choice to leave. At the time, Kelly made a very subtle announcement about her resignation. It happened on a Tuesday morning, right after the first commercial break. The lights never reached their full intensity, and the normally pulsing theme music slowed. Instead of facing the crowd, Kelly turned in her chair and faced Mark. The camera zoomed in to capture her firm grasp on his hands, causing her knuckles to turn white. With a sorrowful tone, she began by stating that it had been over 30 years. "It has been an honor for me to attend this studio and this performance. No, it goes beyond that. I refer to it as my home." She spoke while glancing out at the audience. "You're like family to me." The audience fell silent as soon as it became apparent that this was not a typical speech. Mark sat still beside her, his look shifting from one of passion to almost painful admiration. "But there's another home," Kelly continued, placing her hand on Mark's knee. "There are other families I've been able to balance, which is amazing. But as you get older, you realize that equilibrium isn't really balance. It's fragile. You can only hold on to that wire for so long before you have to make a fundamental choice." She let out a deep gasp. "He depends on me, my best friend, my partner, and the man I fell in love with when we were young. For the first time in my career, I also need a different place than this one. All I want is to be his. I have therefore made the decision to end this chapter." The silence was broken by a collective gasp from the audience. Mark's eyes were gleaming. He held his hand up to protect hers, offering a silent thank you. There were no eye-catching images or farewell presents, just a strong lady choosing to step down. The show quickly cut to an unscheduled commercial break, leaving America to stare at their TVs. But the declaration was more than just a public announcement. It was the culmination of an internal tale of suffering. The quiet whispers had turned into a loud clamor. The indicators were obvious to those who knew where to look. Little things were the first. Mark recently admitted on air that he had broken his arm while sleeping. Chuckling, he called it pathetic, a sign of getting old. Even though the audience found it funny, others close to the couple say Kelly didn't. It was a sign of a body that was physically breaking down due to exhaustion and overwork. Remember Mark's schedule. This man is more than just a co-host talk show in New York City. He has a long history of achievement in the industry. His juggling feats included live performances and physically taxing roles on Riverdale and other shows. He had been traveling from coast to coast lately. Everyone claims he is a man who can't turn down requests. He became well known because of his drive, but it was also his weakness. Insiders tell us that Kelly was growing more and more agitated as she observed this relentless speed. She could see the fatigue in his eyes as he followed strict diets, not just for health, but as a last resort to keep a system from failing under the pressure. Remember the recent dispute at the airport that made headlines? We all laughed it off as normal husband and wife bickering. It wasn't just idle talk, though. It provided the public with an unvarnished glimpse of the real stress that a couple experiences when they are split up for practical reasons. The edges of the man's resilience were coming away. According to a trustworthy source, things reached a breaking point 2 months ago. In a quiet moment the media didn't cover, Kelly found Mark asleep at the kitchen table with his coffee cup still in his hand, extremely weary after a cross-country flight. At that moment, all the wealth, fame, and honors were just meaningless noise. She recalled how he supported her through her own fatigue and transitions. She was going to become his beacon of light. She made the decision to leave,
walk away,
but it was a message. She had a look of determination on her face. "All of this is pointless if I lose you." By leaving the live equation and eliminating the one non-negotiable tether, she broke off her connection to the New York grind. She was effectively giving him permission to do the same. She was choosing her partner over everything, even though they had already built an empire together. What follows? The entire network is in a frenzy. The ripple effect of Kelly Ripa's decision began to move through the television industry like a seismic wave. For the executives at the network, the news was more than a sentimental loss. It was a structural crisis. Live has been the cornerstone of daytime programming for over half a century, surviving host transitions that would have sunk lesser productions. But this was different. This wasn't a transition. It was a departure of the show's very soul, driven by a motive so profoundly personal that no contract or salary increase could bridge the gap. The quiet struggle behind the scenes. As the public began to digest the announcement, the true depth of Mark Consuelos' health journey started to emerge through those close to the couple. For months, Mark had been battling a series of autoimmune flares that left him physically depleted. The broken arm incident, once played for laughs on air, was actually the result of a sudden loss of muscle control. A terrifying moment that occurred in the safety of his own home. Nights watching Kelly had spent, terrified that the man who had been her protector for 30 years was now the one who needed shielding. The decision to step away was solidified during a particularly grueling week in late 2024. While the cameras caught their usual banter, the commercial breaks told a different story. In those 3-minute windows, the high-energy persona would vanish. Mark would lean heavily against the desk, his face pale, while Kelly would discreetly check his pulse or hand him a specialized electrolyte drink. The New York grind was no longer just a phrase. It was a physical weight that was crushing the man she loved. A family united in privacy. The couple's children, Michael, Lola, and Joaquin, became an impenetrable fortress around their parents. Michael, following in his parents' footsteps in the industry, took over many of the behind-the-scenes responsibilities for their production company, Milojo. Lola, whose recent debut in London had been a high point for the family, reportedly told her mother, "Dad has given us everything. It's time we get him his life back."